Hey, what up, everybody? I hope all of y'all is having a blessed and humble day. I hope all of y'all continue to have a blessed and humble day. This y'all shorty Rachel. I want to welcome all of y'all. Hold up. I want to welcome all of y'all to the Writers for Life Brings to the Let's Talk About It podcast. My bad for that. For some reason I echoed. And today, listen, right now we're going to be going right into, so we're going to jump into this topic because I did part 2 earlier, right? But I had to stop it because I had to make a quick run. I want to thank everybody that showed support earlier, that is showing a shorty support. And y'all are more than welcome to join the panel, give y'all perspectives, and much more. So earlier we were speaking about artificial intelligence taking over people's jobs. Will an AI make a good judge? How would you feel as a human if you would have to get prosecuted by an AI judge or be defended by an AI lawyer and sentenced by 12 AI robots that are jurors? I can't seem to get that here to go in. So we've been learning about, we've been hearing. So like I told y'all before, and I'm gonna say it again before I do start this video, we are here to bring the news. We are here to bring awareness. We're not here to judge nobody. We're here to talk about it. Y'all can give y'all perspectives, y'all opinions. I shorty would love to hear what y'all think and how y'all feel about this situation. If time came and you was to lose your job because, they didn't think that you was fast enough or whatever the situation is. I'm about to cam off until I fix my hair real quick. Whatever the situation is, how would you feel if a robot took over? I don't want to stop the screen. So let's continue to watch this. And like I said, y'all more than welcome to hop on a panel, speak with a shorty, have a conversation. These podcasts work if y'all interact with a shorty, whether it's through the chat or y'all hopping on the panel. And like I said, I want to thank everybody that's showing support once again.
All of our witnesses, recognizing that this is a judiciary committee, I'm going to ask you to all.
By the way, y'all can go see part 2 to this meeting on my channel. Make sure y'all subbed up for future lives and much more.
Rise to take the oath. And raise your right hand for the camera. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and correct to the best of your knowledge, so help you God? Thank you. Please be seated. Let the record indicate that all witnesses answered in the affirmative. As you may know from watching C-SPAN, your entire record we placed, your entire statement will be placed in the record, along with, without objection, any extraneous material you see fit now or in the next 5 days to include, so that as we go through this, if you realize there's something you should have said, would have said, or wanted to say, you'll be allowed to supplement. With that, Mr. Damley, you're first up for 5 minutes. Because we have a lot of people up on the dais that want to ask you questions, I will ask that each of you try to limit right to that 5 minutes or less.
Blessings, young Riaz. Blessings. How you been? All right, let's continue to listen to what they got to say. And like I told y'all more than welcome. I'm going to put the link down on the chat box. Y'all can leave y'all comments, give y'all perspectives. Y'all can hop on the panel, or I could just show, what y'all got to say through the chat. But let us shorty know what y'all think about artificial intelligence taking over people's jobs, about them becoming judges, lawyers, jurors, doctors, and much more. What is y'all opinion? I would really love to know that.
Yes. Gentleman's recognized.
Chairman Issa, Ranking Member Johnson, and members of the subcommittee, thank you for inviting me to participate in today's hearing. I am a former software engineer, former general counsel of the U.S. Copyright Office, and currently a partner at the law firm Latham & Watkins, LLP. I'm here testifying solely in my personal capacity and not on behalf of my law firm, any of the firm's clients, or the U.S. Copyright Office. My testimony today will focus on the copyright implications of AI training. But first, I would like to put those issues into context. The AI tools of the present and near future will impact almost every aspect of the human experience. They will improve our science and our medicine. They will make our military more effective. They will make our businesses more efficient and productive. They will enable anyone to more fully unlock their creative potential. In short, AI has the potential to transform our economy and improve our society as a whole. But that outcome is not guaranteed. The way we regulate AI will directly determine whether the United States will continue to lead the world in AI development or whether another country will take up that mantle. In considering whether to impose intellectual property-based restrictions on AI innovation, Congress should carefully evaluate whether those restrictions will hamper the development of AI here in the United States. At the same time, artists, writers, and other creators have expressed genuine concern that the rapid development of AI will displace human authors. Policymakers should take those concerns seriously. But taking a step back, it's important to appreciate that every new technological development has caused similar fears. And in hindsight, we can see that those fears have not come to fruition. To just take one example, when photography was invented in the mid-1800s, one prominent critic dismissed the medium as, quote, the refuge of every would-be painter too ill-endowed or too lazy to complete his studies. And he predicted that photography would, quote, corrupt art altogether. Now, I'm sure Mr. Sedlick can tell us how much he disagrees with that sentiment as an accomplished photographer. And of course, society embraced the camera as a creative tool, and photography blossomed as an art form that deepened, rather than diminished, the field of human creativity. There is no reason to believe that generative AI is any different.
All right, my bad. I was trying to share the stream. I'm still sharing it to a couple platforms. Let me see, Young Riaz. Let me pay attention to the text real quick because I see Young Riaz was texting. Let me chatting. My bad. Young Riaz says, "I think there is both good and bad. Okay, I believe it's concerning. I'm more not for AI taking these jobs." Exactly. I listen. I feel the same way Young Riaz feels. I don't know how many more people feel the same way or feel differently. Me personally, I think it's a good side when it comes to the medical. I think it's a bad side when it comes to trying to have an AI robot in your house, spying on you, learning your every move, learning your habits, learning this, learning that, and much more. I mean, we're talking about, let's put it like this. They're not humans, they're not beings, they're not animals, they're a thing with no emotions. They can't think, they can't tell how how humans behave, react, none of the above. They have no feelings, no soul. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't put my trust in them. I could say way more, but let's play the video. And I agree with Young Riaz. Judgment Day is coming, Young Riaz. That's why I don't know how. I think this is a 2-hour long video, so there is going to be a couple parts to this live because there is another meeting. It's a Senate hearing about the AI robots. They're trying to, I think they already put to the test a judge robot. They already put to the test the lawyer robots and the jurors. So it's already here. It's here. They're just trying to determine if it's okay to, if it's okay to pass it or not. Yada yada. I could just keep going, and we know that pretty soon there's going to be another distraction. They're here. The canine dogs, the servers at the restaurants, and much more. Allegedly, they're here. I gotta say allegedly because I don't need them to, mess with a shorty. But let's keep watching this.
Like the camera or the many creative tools adopted since, generative AI will be an engine of human creativity, not a replacement for it. So with that context in mind, I want to make 2 points today. First, copyright's well-established fair use doctrine is the best way to balance the competing interests in the AI space. For the reasons I explain in detail in my written testimony, the training of AI models will generally fall within the established bounds of fair use. While some AI models may very well exceed those bounds, our courts are well equipped to handle those situations. The concerns that some have raised that AI models can replicate artistic styles are completely understandable. But the solution does not lie in copyright law, which does not and has never granted monopolies over artistic or musical styles. Second, some groups have proposed a collective licensing regime for AI training data. Such a regime would eliminate fair use in this area, replacing it with a rigid assumption that AI training is infringing. I believe that would be a mistake. But if Congress were nevertheless interested in setting up a collective...
I'm gonna say this like I said it earlier. I wish they would stop saying training, because these robots aren't being trained. These robots are being programmed. These robots do not comprehend like a human or an animal. You could train an animal. You could train somebody to, play basketball, coach. Like, you could train a human being. Let's put it like that. But you cannot train a robot. Man, listen, that's my opinion. But it's only logic.
Licensing regime, it should be aware of some of the serious practical challenges it will face. I detail those challenges in my written testimony, but fundamentally they are rooted in the fact that successfully training an AI model requires using many billions of pieces of content. That's many orders of magnitude larger than the number of works covered by any similar scheme in the history of American law. In short, Congress has already adopted a copyright law that is technology neutral and flexible enough to balance the need for a dynamic domestic AI industry with the rights of creators. I look forward to answering your questions today.
The gentleman yields back early. Professor Burge.
Listen.
Chairman Issa, Ranking Member Johnson, distinguished members of the subcommittee, thank you for the chance to testify on this important topic. My name is Chris Callison Birch. I'm a professor at the University.
And mind you, they're saying testifying, and it's like they're really trying to pass this. They're trying to see if it benefits humankind or not. And my question, like I said on part 2 to y'all, is do y'all believe that artificial intelligence will benefit mankind?
University of Pennsylvania, a visiting researcher at the the Allen Institute for Artificial Intelligence, and the deputy chair of the board of advisors of the Johns Hopkins University Human Language Technology Center of Excellence.
Damn.
Generative AI had its breakthrough moment in November of last year with the release of OpenAI's ChatGPT. This brought my field of research into the public eye and generated a huge amount of enthusiasm. I had access to OpenAI's large language models about a year and a half before the public. Despite having worked in this field for over 20 years, I was shocked by its capabilities. My first encounter with it pitched me into a career existential crisis. The technology had seemingly solved many of the problems that I was researching. That it could translate texts from Russian into English. It could write coherent summaries of long documents and then answer questions about them. I wondered whether there was
Pay attention to everything he is saying.
Any room left for academic research in light of the fact that these large language models require Google-sized data centers to train. So I asked myself, should I just drop out of computer science and become a poet? But of course, the next week, I downloaded 15,000 poems from the internet and trained the system to write much better poetry than I ever could. I've subsequently calmed down, and I do not think that my job is at imminent risk of being replaced by ChatGPT, but I understand that many other people are experiencing the same sense of panic that I had. Artists and writers are worried about their work being devalued. I worry that careers like a paralegal might go the way of a lamplighter. I think that at its core, what we're talking about today goes far beyond copyright. It's about the value of work. This is a truly transformative technology that will shape many aspects of our lives. I hope that it is for the better. I optimistically believe that AI will enable us to be more productive workers and to allow more people to realize their creative visions. In my testimony today, I hope to offer my expertise in the technical aspect of generative AI, and I promise to explain it in a way that doesn't require a PhD in computer science. Answers to any questions that you have about the potential for legislation impacting on innovation in this field, and advocacy for retaining fair use for the purposes of training generative AI systems. In my written testimony, I provided an overview of how these systems work. I'm happy to explain during the hearing today how they do, or to have one-on-one meetings with you or your staff at a later date. To briefly summarize the points that I want to highlight from my written testimony, generative AI is trained on huge amounts of data. Large language models are now trained on roughly 1 trillion words. Image generators are trained on hundreds of millions of images. Much or even most of that data consists of copyrighted works that have been gathered by automatically crawling the web. It's important to remember that from these copyrighted works, AI systems learn. This learning process is called pre-training, which is the P in GPT. Pre-training AI systems is different than how we teach our children to learn, but the effect is similar. AI systems learn how to use language. They learn facts about the world. They learn ideas and opinions. They learn visual concepts. They even learn some rudimentary common sense reasoning skills. This pre-training happens on copyrighted data, which is then set aside as models are fine-tuned to perform more specific tasks. For instance, a large language model can be fine-tuned on a much smaller, purpose-built set of data.
And once again, he says training, which will confuse a lot of people, which he should be saying programmed. Programmed. They're not trained. They don't, how can I say it? That they don't have a brain. These things are already programmed to say. See, we grow up, we're born as babies, right? And we have to learn. We have to have somebody teach us, show us. These robots are already programmed. The data is inputted into their system, into their drive. Us as humans, we don't have drives. Our brains is what has to compute everything in life. The robots, is that data, them little chips, motherboards. Like, I wish he would stop saying training like it's a human being or like it's a pet that you got to train to sit down or lay down or some shit like that. Or a person that you're training for a job, or like, come on.
In order to become an intelligent tutor, or a computer vision system can be fine-tuned in order to detect cancerous growths in mammograms. These systems could not be as easily adapted to these specialized tasks without the general knowledge that they acquire from the copyrighted data that they're pre-trained on. I believe, like Sai, that pre-training these systems squarely falls within fair use, and that internet era court precedents likely established that this is the case, although, as the ranking member mentioned, this is currently being litigated in the courts. I do believe that the output of generative AI systems can infringe on copyright, and it's worth Congress considering legislation to better shape copyright to govern things like copyrightable characters, and possibly to extend copyright to cover things like right of publicity. I look forward to discussing this topic with you today.
Thank you. Mr. Irwin.
Chairman Issa, Ranking Member Johnson, distinguished members of this subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today on the important issues involving artificial intelligence and the impact on the creative industries. My name is Ashley Irwin, and I am currently serving my 6th term as President of the Society of Composers and Lyricists. I'm here today to advocate for my members who are already feeling the negative impact of generative artificial intelligence on their craft and its potential threat to their profession. First, some background on me and on the SCL. In my 40+ years as a composer, arranger, and such, I have written music for over 1,000 hours of film and television and more than 3,000 commercials. Since 1990, I've provided musical compositions and arrangements for 23 Academy Award shows and been part of several Emmy-winning teams. I've had the pleasure of collaborating on many films with Oscar winners such as Clint Eastwood and Bill Conti. Over the years, my arrangements have been performed on numerous occasions for Presidents Clinton, Bush, Obama, and one of my choral orchestrations was performed during President Ronald Reagan's state funeral service. The SCL background. The Society of Composers and Lyricists is the premier organization for music creators working in all forms of visual media. We chapters
Sure, why is she laughing in the background? She ain't like what he's saying is funny. See, that be the problem with people. They don't pay attention and they lose track.
in Los Angeles, New York, and Nashville. The SCL operates as the primary voice for over 3,000 members who work as creators of scores and songs for film, television, video games, and theatre. While the SCL advocates for our members on several different fronts, the issue that has consumed the majority of our time recently has been generative AI. The rapid introduction of generative AI systems is seen as an existential threat to the livelihood and continuance of our creative professions unless immediate steps are taken on legal, interpretive, and economic fronts to address these emerging issues. I want to be very clear. My goal is in raising these issues pertaining to the rights of writers and creators is not to block AI research and usage. We're simply advocating for the creation of a policy framework that ensures generative AI is developed and utilized responsibly, ethically, and with respect for human creators and copyright, so that the creative arts that are...
Basically, he's speaking up for the human rights that no robot should, copyright what they have and get away with it, which is what's going to happen allegedly, supposedly, and this is why they're here. So each one has their concern, and each one is talking about, the good and the bad of the artificial intelligence, whether they agree or they don't. And what they want to end up discussing is what would happen if, these robots ended up with the human copyright product. So, like I said, this could be a lot of consequences. It could be very concerning, the robots coming in. For me, I think it'll do good, medically, and like towards like the fire department and shit like stuff like that. But other than that, I don't think they should take it any further. But maybe I'm wrong.
But the real engine of generative AI can continue to flourish. The SCL believes that AI companies and their generative models should adhere to the fundamental 3 C's: consent, credit, and compensation. Consent by creators for the first use of their works in generative AI media. Credit, wherever audiovisual creators' works are used, and compensation at fair market rates for the ingestion of any portion of human creators' copyrighted works by AI generative machines and the subsequent output of new derivative works.
So, for example, what he's trying to say is, like me, if I steal somebody's work, right, should I have to pay back? Yes. Because if they take me to court and I end up using their work, right, and I didn't have no permission for that, I should go to court and pay the consequences. These robots allegedly are not going to pay the consequences but you know what I see it as? I see it as espionage, because it's crazy because like they're kind of stealing your information and they can get away with it. But who does this information go to? Who's running these machines where these robots are at? Because when they break down and shit happens, it's a human who got to fix them. So let's make this all make sense. It's going to come whether we like it or not, because at the end of the day, nobody really paid attention and the people are just waking up. It's a shame to say it, but it's reality. People are just waking up now.
I'd like to highlight 3 challenges posed to music creators by generative AI, potential solutions to which I've offered in my written testimony. Issue 1, generative AI has been equipped using copyright-protected human-authored works and programmed to mimic those works without consent, compensation, or credit. Issue 2, copyright information, metadata, has been removed during the ingestion process of these models. Issue 3, the market will be diluted due to AI-generated works. As a result, copyright protection should not be granted to AI-generated works. In closing, I thought I should address why America's success is important to me. As you can no doubt tell by my
So he's against it, basically. So for those of you that don't understand, this man right here is against the AIs using copyrighted work. He's against it. They shouldn't let the robots do it. So basically, they can steal any poem that you write, anything you say, any phrase you make, any like. Listen, imagine somebody using your voice and imitating you. That'll be some messed up shit. Like, it's your voice, right? And if somebody wants to use it for something, but they gotta let you know. But in this situation, they don't. They still use it. A robot can get away with it. A human can't. There's gonna be so many consequences behind these AIs, these artificial intelligence. I'm telling y'all.
accent, I'm not originally from the United States. I came here from Australia as a young man because I wanted to be a part of the vibrant culture that is the US entertainment industry. However, the rise of generative AI poses a threat to this unique American art form. If we do not protect and nurture our human creators, we risk losing one of our greatest exports and its profound influence.
Facts.
It's essential to prioritize policies and regulations that safeguard the intellectual property and copyright of creators and preserve the diverse and dynamic US cultural landscape. Protection of creators is not now nor has ever been in conflict with technological development. Our founding fathers recognized that. The only place the term right is mentioned in the Constitution is with regard to intellectual property. Specifically, the rights granted to authors and inventors.
Let's
Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8.
Hopefully, I don't get too far.
To promote motivation to lead that charge. And
I wanted to rewind that so y'all can really pay attention to what he says right there, guys. So y'all might end up getting a little more, but I'm sorry. But I want y'all to hear what he says about the Constitution.
look forward to working with every one of you to achieve that common goal.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro.
Good morning. Chairman Issa, Ranking Member Johnson.
The real engine of generative AI can continue to flourish.
Listen.
The SCL believes that AI companies and their generative models should adhere to the fundamental 3 C's: consent, credit, and compensation. Consent by creators for the first use of their works in generative AI media. Credit, wherever audiovisual creators' works are used, and compensation at fair market rates for the ingestion of any portion of human creators' copyrighted works by AI generative machines and the subsequent output of new derivative works. I'd like to highlight 3 challenges posed to music creators by generative AI, potential solutions to which I've offered in my written testimony. Issue 1, generative AI has been equipped using copyright-protected human-authored works and programs.
Yo, there's something really wrong with this chick in the background. Like, she's not listening or she's back there busting it up, or she thinks that what he's saying is funny. Like, she's back there making jokes or something. Like, that's the 5th time that I've caught her like laughing. I'm sorry.
Programmed to mimic those works without consent, compensation, or credit. Issue 2, copyright information, metadata, has been removed during the ingestion process of these models. Issue 3, the market will be diluted due to AI-generated works. As a result, copyright protection should not be granted to AI-generated works.
See?
In closing, I thought I should address why America's success is important to me. As you can no doubt tell by my accent, I'm not originally from the United States. I came here from Australia as a young man because I wanted to be a part of the vibrant culture that is the US entertainment industry. However, the rise of generative AI poses a threat to this unique American art form. If we do not protect and nurture our human creators, we risk losing one of our greatest exports and its profound influence. It's essential to prioritize policies and regulations that safeguard the intellectual property and copyright of creators and preserve the diverse and dynamic US cultural landscape. Protection of creators is not now nor has ever been in conflict with technological development. Our founding fathers recognized that. The only place the term right is mentioned in the Constitution is with.
Young Riaz, I think a lot of people should be very concerned about this situation because, in my opinion, we've been warned. Like after this, I'm gonna show y'all the interview with Sophia Stewart, and then I'm gonna show y'all the another Senate hearing meeting. That's how I'm gonna do it. I was gonna do both Senate meetings first, but I'm gonna do this first. I'm gonna do this meeting, and then I'm gonna do the Sophia Stewart. So I'm gonna be on here as long as I can today. So hey, rock out with a shorty as long as y'all can. I'm gonna react to the whole video. If y'all want to come up and react with a shorty, like I said, y'all more than welcome to. Y'all can give y'all perspectives. We're not here to judge. But young Riaz, you are absolutely correct.
With regard to intellectual property, specifically the rights granted to authors and inventors in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 are to promote the progress of science and useful arts. Respect for copyright and development of AI should go hand in hand. That way, all of humanity can benefit. I believe this committee has the power, authority, and motivation to lead that charge, and I look forward to working with every one of you to achieve that common goal.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro.
Blessings, Letitia. Blessings. How you doing? You see young Riaz? This could mean that our rights will be taken away if we allow it. Facts. Because basically these robots won't get in trouble for copywriting. You know, basically I see it as espionage, because anything that's written down, like for example, you could write something down and this robot, you know, copyrights it and everything, but at the end of the day, he won't get in trouble because he's not a human being. He's nothing but a model. He's nothing but an object, a thing. So he won't have the same type of consequences as me, but the biggest concern is, like a lot of people are saying, right? How many other people can see what this robot is seeing? When these robots, you know, get busted or something happens to them, it's a human that has to fix them at the end of the day. Y'all also worried about Trump giving Russia information, but what is y'all trying to do with these robots? That's a real big question. Like if y'all watch part 2 of this live, if y'all missed it, go watch part 2 of this live, because the other half of this video is over there. This is a 2-hour long video. So that's why I said there's going to be lots of parts to this. So right now I'm going to rock out as long as I can. I'm child free, so I'm on this live. I just got back home when I started this live. Earlier I had to step out and end the live. But let's continue this and let me keep reacting, giving my commentary. Y'all more than welcome to talk. The link is pinned right there for anybody that wants to hop on and give their perspectives on any parts of the videos and talk about it. What do y'all think is going to happen? Do y'all think that artificial intelligence will benefit mankind?
Navarro.
Good morning, Chairman Issa, Ranking Member Johnson, and esteemed members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. My name is Dan Navarro, and I've been a songwriter, recording artist, session singer, voice actor, and music activist for over 4 decades. Throughout my career, I've frequently been asked, how did you come up with that song? And while I often feel like saying it just came to me, the truth is all my work reflects a lifetime of personal emotions, rich experiences, and even shattered dreams. In other words, it's complicated. Sometimes it's a moment. The song that saved and sustained my career, We Belong, recorded by Pat Benatar 40 years ago, came to me right as I was giving up a career in music, and a longtime collaboration with my best friend was decaying. We decided to give it one more shot, and I started with the end of the song, and soon we were trading lyrics back and forth. It worked for us in one way or another. 2 estranged friends found a space to connect, and a song that people have enjoyed for the last 40 years was born in 90 minutes. That human alchemy can't be fully explained, but it's the heart of music creation. For generative AI, the answer to the question, where did that come from, is in many ways much simpler. These machines have no emotions or experiences or dreams of their own to draw from. All they have are millions and millions of imported songs and lyrics.
Now, y'all heard me say that. I said it on part 2, and I'm saying it here. Y'all heard me say these machines have no soul. They can't determine human behavior. They can't tell if you're sad, if you're mad, if you're happy, if you're angry. They might be able to determine your body heat, take your temperature, but they cannot determine what your mood is.
Most copyrighted, hoovered off the internet without permission. Training AI to mimic professional performers or generate new works based on millions of copies of published songs and recordings presents a host of legal implications, from copyright infringements to violations of rights of publicity and trademark to name, voice, and likeness abuses. And it's a long-term threat to music itself. By marginalizing and ultimately abandoning the fundamental human spark in music creation, we're inviting a future that sees fakes as real and that debases our art and culture with soulless brown food product, mediocrity. Does anyone think a computer-generated song can give you goosebumps or comfort? Abandoning or become a theme song to the loves of our lives? That's our song. How can AI give a goosebump if it can't get a goosebump? That's human. To fight for human creativity, I was proud to help launch the Human Artistry Campaign in March, and I'm here today as a supporter of that initiative, now boasting more than 100 organizations globally representing all kinds of arts and creativity. It is the global center of gravity advocating for the rights of creators in the age of AI. This coalition believes AI is exciting and promising, but can never replace human artistry and soul. It's based on 7 core principles that I support wholeheartedly. First, technology has long empowered human expression, and AI will be no different. Musicians will use this technology to do great things. Second, human-created works will remain essential in our lives. At the heart of the connection between the artist and the audience are shared, lived experiences only humans can relate to and convey. Third, the use of copyrighted works for AI purposes and the use of voices and likenesses of professional performers requires permission. Like all predecessor technologies, AI must be subject to authorization and free market licensing from all rights holders and creators. Fourth, governments should not create new copyright or other IP exemptions that allow AI developers to exploit creators without permission and compensation. People looking to make a fast buck from technological change routinely ask policymakers to pick winners and losers. Here, that would be devastating. Fifth, copyright should only protect the unique value of human intellectual creativity. The copyright clause of the Constitution exists to incentivize humans to create. Machines don't need incentives. Sixth, trustworthiness and transparency are essential to the success of AI and the protection of creators. Without transparent AI, we will have no idea whether the inputs AI systems were trained on were licensed, leaving us no way to enforce our rights. Seventh, creators.
And it's crazy though, because them saying this and saying that, I think recently there was the first artificial intelligence robot that just passed law school. Yes, go Google that up. Whenever I get a chance, when I'm done all these videos, when I'm done all 3 videos, I will show it to y'all. But if y'all want, y'all can take a minute and research it yourselves. I think in 2023 we have the first AI artificial intelligent robot to pass allegedly law school. Because a lot of people were saying, well, how can a robot become a judge or a lawyer if they don't have no licenses or nothing like that? Well, apparently they found a way.
Must have a seat at the table, not just developers. Our creativity, our rights, our livelihoods are at stake. If AI is allowed to take away the ability of authors and artists to control and make a living from their art, we will lose all authenticity in our expression. We'll lose culture itself. The next decision by the courts and Congress in this area will decide our cultural future, and it's your responsibility to make sure the cultural promise of reward for human genius remains viable. Guided by the principles of the Human Artistry Campaign, we can look forward to the real emotions, experiences, and dreams of future generations of creators, perhaps facilitated by AI, but never silenced by it. I thank you, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Sedlick. Chairman Issa, Ranking Member Johnson, distinguished members, thank you for the opportunity to testify here today. I've been a professional photographer and filmmaker for 37 years. I'm a professor at the Art Center College of Design, the former president of the American Photographic Artists, and the current president of the Plus Coalition. As mentioned by Chairman Issa,
I own no rights to this video. I have no rights reserved for this video.
Plus is a global nonprofit organization focused exclusively on simplifying the identification of visual works. Plus is currently developing a global nonprofit visual registry and in cooperation with the IPTC, updating our widely adopted metadata standards to allow artists to declare AI-related permissions and prohibitions in their image files. You can learn more about that at plus.org. As a professional visual artist, I make my living by creating and, most importantly, licensing my works. My ability to create new works, sustain my business, support my family, depends directly on my exclusive rights to reproduce, distribute, publicly display, and adapt my original works. These fundamental rights are the core of my business, providing a strong incentive to create new works. In fact, they're the only way that I can afford to create new works. Unfortunately, many AI developers and platforms have built their businesses by exploiting billions of visual works without authorization from or compensation to copyright owners. The theft and exploitation of visual works by AI platforms displaces a common, long-standing practice in which creators and their agents offer and sell artist reference licenses, permitting the use of works for reference and creating new derivative works. AI ingestion falls squarely within this reference license category. In fact, stock photo agencies routinely sell reference licenses to AI platforms, permitting the use of visual works for AI ingestion. A market clearly exists for these licenses. The unlicensed ingestion of photographs by AI systems usurps that market and forces human creators to compete with machine-made derivatives of their own original works. Many AI platforms are trained on copies of creative works scraped from websites that display those works without the knowledge or permission of the copyright owners. I've found
Keyword, without the right or knowledge of the copyright owner.
thousands of unlicensed copies of my works in open databases used by AI systems to support image ingestion and generation. It is clear that many generative AI platforms were founded on copyright infringement. In defense of their actions, AI developers attempt to apply blanket claims of fair use, counter to the spirit and letter of the Copyright Act.
Let me ask y'all, those that are in the chat and those that catch the replay, how long do y'all think artificial intelligence has been around? For those of y'all that are thinking that we're just hitting the Jetsons era, we've been in it because the smartphones been came out, the smart TVs been came out, when the laptops came out, when the 5G, 4G, 3G, all that shit came about. How long do y'all think that we've had artificial intelligence? I think that we've had it for a while. For those of you that think that this is new, this is not nothing new. So for those of y'all that think that I'm about to get ratchet, let me cam up real quick, right? Because I'm about to get cam up. For those of y'all that are still in bed, stay the fuck in bed. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. When Morpheus comes back around, maybe you'll think about popping the little blue pill or whatever color pill it is that he gives out. But y'all need to wake up, and if y'all don't, stay in bed. It's that simple. Because it's all this is obvious. It's been talked about. We've been warned. Like, that's why I said in between these two videos that I'm going to show y'all talking about the artificial intelligence, the government meetings and all that, I'm going to show y'all the video of Sophia Stewart talking about the Matrix. There's another video that she did with another interviewer. And I think this is a YouTube blogger that she did this video with. And this video was done in 2020. So it's not as old as the other two videos. This is you could say this is the most recent interview. I think there's another one, but I'm going to find it. I'm going to find all them interviews with Sophia Stewart. She's the original creator of The Matrix and The Terminator. Hollywood, all they did was steal her idea, copyright. So she made a couple dollars. So I'm glad that they're speaking and they're talking about this copyright and stuff. If y'all start from part 2 of this my lives, y'all catch up and understand a little bit better. But let's keep watching and let's keep learning. Each one, teach one. Like I said, we're not here to judge. We're here to bring solutions to the table. We're here to hopefully, come together, bring everybody together, unite and conquer, not divide and crumble. Real shit. But listen to what this guy is saying. And listen, I ain't watched this whole thing. I've been reacting with y'all. It's just that the first couple minutes when I started this live part 3, I already seen that on part 1. But I had to step out in the live and we're doing this again now. So listen, I guess we're gonna have a part 4 to this, John. I'm not sure when. I'm gonna do it as a pop-up. I'm not scheduling it because sometimes I don't have time to schedule and I end up rescheduling and rescheduling. I don't like, getting people's hopes up. So let's do this, y'all. Let's talk about it. What do y'all think? Will artificial intelligence benefit humankind? In my opinion, I believe that on the medical side, I think that artificial intelligence will benefit. But when it comes to everything else, no.
Fair use is not a right. It's an affirmative defense requiring a fact-specific inquiry on a case-by-case basis. AI developers claim that AI-generated works are not substantially similar to source works and thus can't be infringements. But this ignores the fact that the exclusive reproduction right is a standalone right under Section 106 of the Copyright Act. The creation and use of copies for AI ingestion purposes is copyright infringement on a massive scale. AI developers further suggest that photographers' use of cameras is the creative equivalent of drafting prompts for generative AI. They minimize the creative process in photography and attempt to frame photographers as mere button pushers. This is a false equivalency. We photographers are visual storytellers. Our creative decisions are guided by our life history and our unique combination of training, experience, personality, aesthetic sensibilities, dreams, memories.
Yeah, Riaz, you're more than welcome. Like I said, you know it. You've been on my panel before. We're not here to judge. We're here to bring solutions. We're here to talk about it. Everybody's opinion matters, and we're here to teach each other. Each one, teach one. You're more than welcome on any panel, any live. It doesn't matter the situation.
Search, and other factors. When creating our works, we anticipate and respond dynamically to the subject matter and shooting environment. We exercise control over the visual rendition of the scene. We decide which elements to include and exclude and where to place those elements within the frame. We determine how to juxtapose people, objects, and other compositional elements for a desired creative effect. We control the placement and interplay of color, tone, texture, contrast, light, and shade. We control the perspective, distortion, depth of field, and selective focus to guide the viewer's eye through the image. And we select the precise moment at which to create the ultimate photograph. This substantial creative human expression is not the equivalent of submitting a text prompt, instructing a machine to generate a work. Copyright law affords protection only to human expression. The output of an image by machines in response to prompts is and should remain ineligible for copyright protection. Policies must favor.
For those of you that didn't catch it, he said ineligible, which means they're not eligible.
Must not favor machines over human creators. AI developers must be required not only to obtain advance permission to ingest and exploit creative works, but to compensate creators, whether directly or through collective licensing organizations, such as the American Society for Collective Rights Licensing. AI technologies must be developed.
See, so this man agrees just like us too. If they steal our work and they do this, they should be obligated to pay us for what they stole.
Developed and used in a manner that is responsible, respectful, and ethical, upholding the underlying goals and purposes of our copyright system. I appreciate the opportunity to testify, and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you, and I thank all our witnesses. I'm going to forego my questioning until the end or near the end. And so I'm going to go to Mr. Fitzgerald, somebody who understands what it is to own copyright in his former life. Gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
He just
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Damley, Supreme Court has held since 1884 case Burrow Giles lithograph.
Did he just say his former life? Hold on one second. What?
By machines in response to prompts.
I really think he said former life.
Is and should remain ineligible for copyright protection. Policies must not favor machines.
Hold on one second, guys.
Over human creators. AI developers must be required not only to obtain advance permission to ingest and exploit creative works, but to compensate creators, whether directly or through collective licensing organizations such as the American Society for Collective Rights Licensing. AI technologies must be developed and used in a manner that is responsible, respectful, and ethical, upholding the underlying goals and purposes of our copyright system. I appreciate the opportunity to testify, and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you, and I thank all our witnesses. I'm going to forego my
I think he said, hold on.
questioning until the end or near the end. And so I'm going to go to Mr. Fitzgerald, somebody who understands what it is to own copyright in his former life. Gentlemen,
Yeah, he did say in his former life. Isn't he alive? That's kind of questionable.
recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Damley.
So who's speaking?
Supreme Court has held since 1884 case Burrow Giles Lithographic Company versus Cerrone that photographs can be entitled to copyright protection where the photographer makes decisions regarding creative elements of the work. You were quoted in your testimony as saying society embraced the camera as a creative tool and photography blossomed as an art form that deepened rather than diminished this whole field of creativity. There's no reason to believe AI is any different, I think was your point. The Copyright Office has disputed this comparison, instead comparing the generative AI to a client who hires an artist to create something because users do not exercise ultimate creative control. What's kind of your response or your thoughts to copyright comparison? And do you believe that copyright was correct in denying copyright for lack of the ultimate creative control as they did in their decision in Zarya of the Dawn?
Congressman, thank you for that question. So the way I would start by framing this issue is the point I was trying to make in my testimony is that generative AI can be a tool that humans use to enhance their creative output. And so what the Copyright Office has said is where that tool is doing all of the work of creative output, then that's a situation where we don't need the economic incentive that the Constitution has as an incentive for creating that output. But I think that's sort of one end of the spectrum of the question. There's going to be a big gray area where there's going to be basically human and AI together creating output. I think that's
Basically, at the end of the day, the AI still need the humans to function, to live a normal life like a human, but they're just machines. Yo, once again, if something happens to these robots, it's a human who still has to fix it.
That's going to be a very common situation going forward. And I think in that situation, I would say where the human is exercising some control over the AI and its output, where there's a sort of iterative.
Yeah, I think that's what they call the chat GCP, something like that. I'm hoping I'm saying it right, but hopefully they mention it here, because I think on part 1 they talk about it. That's why I started part 1 off the way I did.
Process between what the generative AI produces and what the human produces, then that is a situation where you should have copyrightable output, that the output of that process should be copyrightable to some degree. And it's no different, I think, than a camera, than a photographer's interaction with a camera. They're adjusting the settings on the camera. They're choosing the framing of the image. They're employing a lot of choice. Yes, the camera is the one that's actually recording the image, but the human has control over that process. And so by the same token, where a human has that level of control over the generative AI process, as I think will happen in many cases, then the output of that should be copyrightable in the same way that a photograph is copyrightable.
Reiterate that. Do you think copyright got this correct in the way that they had came up with their determination?
I think in the particular instance and the particular things that they said, I think they got it right, but they're addressing a very just sort of extreme example where the human is not actually providing anything other than a simple prompt to the generative AI system. And then they've decided in that instance, the output is not copyrightable.
So basically, these robots won't function unless a human controls them. It's like a little remote, like that movie. What was it? Click. But he was transporting. He was going back and forth, I think, in time, whatever, some shit like that. I gotta watch it again with Adam Sandler. But I know he was doing something. He would click the little. Oh, he was fast forwarding and rewinding. But basically, like that, you like get a little remote and you control the robot. But at the end of the day, all that feed, is it only you that sees it? Is it somebody else? Like the manufacturers of these robots. When these robots are recording, are you the only ones allowed to see that, or do they actually see it? Like, for example, Comcast got surveillance cameras, right? And you can put them in front of your house. You can see what happens, through the surveillance camera and record your video and everything. But Comcast also has access to that surveillance camera. So that's my question. Do the manufacturers of these robots also got access to the camera part of these robots, the audio and everything? Or is it just the person that owns the robot?
I think that's going to be very different than the mine run of cases using generative AI. The mine run of cases are going to involve much more involvement of human authorship than just providing a simple, one sentence prompt.
Yeah, so just because I just have 1 minute left to actually. So what other situations do you think could emerge that copyright would then have to deal with where you do find this mix of artistry along with what AI has capabilities of doing that could somehow, put us in a place where it can be undetermined who actually is the creator?
So I think those are going to have to be determined on a case-by-case basis. And the office actually, in its guidance, provided some examples, a few examples, but some examples of where there would be sort of enough creative human.
And that's true. If this is allowed, there will be a lot of censorship for a lot of things. Young Riaz is not wrong. It looks like Young Riaz has been doing his research. So I'm really glad you're doing your research. It looks like you know what you're talking about. Young Riaz, listen, speak.
Authorship, for instance, where you provide a prompt, it generates an image, and then you adjust that image. The human actually takes that image as a starting point and then adds more creative authorship to that image. That's one example. I think another example that you might see is where you start with an image that you have. I'm using image ones as an example, but you start with an image, you feed it into the generative AI, and then generative AI helps you make changes to that image in certain ways, in the same way that you might use Photoshop. I think in those circumstances, you're going to have situations where the output is copyrightable, and then there may be questions about how much of it is copyrightable, how much of it was generated by the AI, but those can be dealt with on a fact-by-fact basis.
Thank you very much, and I would yield back.
I thank the gentleman. We now recognize the ranking member of the subcommittee, Mr. Johnson, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The other day I was in my car cruising, and there was an interview with Smokey Robinson on the radio. And Smokey Robinson was saying that his big hit, Cruising, took in total about 5 years to come to the final product. I'd like to ask you, Mr. Irwin, Mr. Navarro, and Mr. Sedlick, your works can be scraped from the internet in a matter of seconds for AI ingestion. Can you explain what goes into creating a single work of art and how long that process might take, starting with you, Mr. Irwin?
Sure.
They-
It's kind of the answers.
They really, like the majority of them is really trying to convince people that the artificial intelligence is beneficial. And I don't think it's beneficial in all parts. Like I said, in my opinion, only on the medical field, I would see this being beneficial. I don't see it being beneficial having canine dogs that are robots, officers that are robots, having a robot president or a robot judge or a robot juror, a robot lawyer. Like I said on part 2, imagine being prosecuted by a robot judge. Imagine being defended by a robot lawyer and being sentenced by 12 juror robots. Like, that is one crazy, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I can't put myself in that situation. Yo. All right, my bad. I'm about to press play. I didn't mean, I just got distracted for 1 second, guys. I apologize. But I don't know. It's here anyways. It's here. Like, a lot of people warned us. I heard so many elders talk about this growing up. And it's crazy that they were called crazy. Like, that belonged in a mental hospital or some shit like that. And look, everything that they're saying is true.
How long is a piece of string, to be honest? It's always different. When we're working in an audiovisual space, be it film or television or something like that, where you're commissioned to work, you have deadlines and you have to come up with the goods by a certain time, you know, and deliver them. When you're working as a songwriter, more like Dan does, you have a little more freedom, and you can work on a lyric, you can work on a song, you can collaborate, you can have a half-written song and then bring someone else in. But everything takes time. Nothing is the push of a button. There is no push button music up to this point that's any good anyway. I mean, most of it's just, you know, not usable.
Mr. Navarro, thank you.
I'd like to affirm what Mr. Irwin says. I made reference to my big hit song that took 90 minutes to write. The emotions that led to my contributions and the contributions of my late partner took 3 years to percolate, to run through my emotions in my system, be expressed, be wept, be verbalized, be internalized, before they came out in an evening blast when everything was ready. It didn't take 90 minutes. It took several years. I've had songs take 7 years. I've had songs take 7 days. It varies depending on what it takes to sit and look at something and go, it's done. Now it's done.
Thank you. Mr. Sedley.
Thank you. There are many genres of photographers, each of whom works in a different way, including within those genres. Personally, I'm very controlling in my photography. Every aspect of every photograph that I take is something that is planned and controlled, whereas another photographer might be more spontaneous. In my process, I use free association first. It will take weeks, months, even more than a year. I use free association, come up with ideas, make thumbnail sketches, make iterative sketches, do tests, do planning, set the whole thing up, test, and then during the process, I control it. Whereas a photojournalist might make all of those decisions in an instant. It's their lifetime of experience and all their capabilities that lets them accomplish the same thing, thousands of decisions in a second.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Sedley. Can you compare the process?
Yo, they gotta make 1,000 decisions in a second. And I don't think a human can make 1,000 decisions in a second.
Process of creating works, your works, through, or can you compare that to works created through generative AI?
Yes. So the same goes for AI. There's the full spectrum.
And if you could tell me also how it feels as an artist to have your work used without your permission to serve as the basis for a product that might then compete against your product.
Damn, that's a great question. As an artist, how would they feel to have a product compete against their product? Damn, great question. For those of y'all defending, like, oh, it's not going to take over no jobs. It's not going to take over nothing. I think it might and it can.
Yes.
If you could leave some time for Mr. Navarro and Mr. Irwin to respond to that question also. 58 seconds, go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
so
It was a good response.
I'll answer your second question first.
Ha.
So Photographers are used to the advancement of technology. We've been using technology for 179 years, and we're usually first in using it. So we anticipate that technology is going to continue to develop, that new opportunities for creation are going to advance, that it's going to be easier to create great works, and we accept that. That's not our concern here. Our concern is that our works are being used without our permission and without any compensation. The creative process.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Navarro. Appreciate it.
I feel the same way. I think AI is a tool that I myself could use. My partner in my duo passed away. I could maybe impersonate his voice and put out a brand new Low and Navarro record. But permission, credit, compensation.
Thank you. Mr. Irwin?
We've been using elements of AI.
Now, y'all heard how they said imitate the voice, right? It's crazy.
As tools for, I've certainly been using them for almost 30 years, but always with the control of what the output is. You quite often create the initial piece of music that you're going to work with, then you process it in a particular way, and you make the decisions of what is the final product going to be. Some of the options you were given are not usable. You know, it's a matter of taste, and only humans have that kind of discerning taste.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the indulgence, and Mr. Carlson Birdshot.
You know what this is showing me, guys? For those of y'all that are scared to even speak up or say anything about, oh my God, the robots are coming, they're going to take over. Don't be scared. Listen, we got rights. We really got rights. It's a matter of us uniting, sticking together, speaking up, saying what we got to say. But a lot of people just jump the window, jump to conclusions, and this cap is getting on my nerves. And end up being scared for no reason. Do we have a concern about the robots taking over? Yes, it's very concerning because it's beneficial on one end, but it's also not beneficial on another. So that's what fucks up everything. That's what messes up everything. Beneficial on one end and unbeneficial on another. To me, like I said, it's only beneficial on the medical field. And like he said, like it works with the computers, technology, all that. We're using it now to alter voices, to imitate voices, much more. We're using it now. Only difference is we're going to have a whole AI walking right next to us. That's a robot. That's it. We're doing all that now. Hold on, Katie. Go tell your mom to do it real quick. Hold on. All right, well, you gotta give me a minute because I'm doing this. My bad. I apologize, guys. I apologize. They want me to do this little kite. I don't know how to put a kite together, so they're gonna have to give me a minute until I'm done this. Because I really don't know how to put no damn kite together. I've never flew a kite. Listen. Nope, never flew a kite, and I don't care about flying a kite. It doesn't draw my attention. Never did, and it never will. I'm sorry. You gotta put that thing together, like, ugh. I quit on putting the kite together. That's where I quit at. That's why I don't want to ever fly that drone. I quit on the putting it together part. I know it's lazy, but shit, it's a headache. Samir, let her through, baby. Hold on one second, guys. Let me let this play, and I'll be right back.
If I had time, I'd be asking you about the value of work that you see as so critical for us to think about. But thank you.
I thank the gentleman, and we will make sure we get that answer. The gentleman from Oregon, Mr. Benz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank all of you for being here today. So my question is, I'm not sure which one of you to ask, but the issue is whether our technology is such that we can actually do what I think many of you want us to do. And I'm just thinking of the Led Zeppelin situation that took years to sort out whether or not, quote, the descending chord sequence had been used for centuries and whether or not it had been stolen. And of course, it ultimately was decided after 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years of litigation that Led Zeppelin had, for various reasons, not usurped it. My question to you is, and I'm going to ask it of you, Mr. Navarro.
I apologize, guys. I had to attend my daughter real quick, so I apologize.
Navarro, if you think that we have the technology available to sort these things out after the fact, and if not, what would you be suggesting that we do to try to prevent it before it happens? I just want to know, given the nature of music, and I'm a very bad musician, but I know what a guitar is. How in the world do you sort this out? Do we have the technology available?
I'm not sure we're qualified to determine how it's sorted out. I know that I, as a creator, if I get too close to something, I pull back. If I get a little too close to Ray Charles, I pull back. If I get too close to John Lennon, I pull back. And if I don't do it right, there are legal remedies. Just ask George Harrison or Robin Thicke.
Mr. Damley, I don't know, I'm not sure I pronounced your name correctly, but could you address the question?
Thank you, Congressman. You got it exactly right. So I would point to the sort of cases that you're talking about, like the Led Zeppelin case, like the Blurred Lines case, as examples of instances where copyright did not stay within its proper bounds, where courts decided that borrowing somebody's musical style counted as copyright infringement. And I think when those decisions came down, it really threw the music industry into chaos. I'm a music lawyer in addition to being a technology lawyer. I know that the music industry really grappled with those decisions, and you had artists saying that they were afraid to create because they were worried that they were inadvertently perhaps borrowing the style from somebody else. And it got to the point that even the rights owner groups started criticizing those decisions, saying they went too far. They did not allow art.
Blessings, Nate. Blessings. How you doing? I gotta mute this.
To express themselves as freely as they should be able to. And I think, thankfully, we've seen a return back to those core principles of the Copyright Act, which is ideas, styles should be able to be used by all. So that's what we've seen in these recent decisions involving Ed Sheeran, a return back to that principle of being faithful to the Copyright Act, faithful to the Constitution's mandate for what the Copyright Act is supposed to do. And so that would be my response to that issue.
And thank you for your answers. And with that, Mr. Chair, I yield the rest of my time to you.
I thank the gentleman for yielding, and I'll continue along somewhat an earlier line. Mr. Navarro, we talked about credit, we talked about permission, and we talked about compensation, or you did. Credit would seem to be one that Congress could mandate, that the database input could be searchable so you would know that your work or your name or something was in the database. Fairly easy, probably doable. It's quite an index of billions or trillions in some cases, but that would be. The output might be a little more complex, and we'll talk about that later. The compensation is a question I want you to opine on, and maybe both ends of the question. If there are 10 billion or 10 trillion inputs, and let's just assume for a moment that there are a billion copyrighted.
Facts. AIs are going to be taking, I think they already have taken over a lot of corporates. I believe AI is going to take over many corporates and administrative positions, along with certain trades that don't require technical or critical thinking skills. Facts. But they already use it for that. They call it the chat GCP, something like that it's called. I think I let the video play on part 1. I think one person complained about me letting the video play. But I let the John play. They was talking about the chat GCP, and that's how they got a lot of their, analytics and statistics and much more. So yeah, it's coming, it's here, but people sleep.
We all know what it's like to get that big check from Spotify for the 100 or 1,000 times you were played, and it comes out in pennies. Okay, what is the division of 1 billion pieces of music, and how would it, in fact, assuming that that was part of the output, how would you actually quantify it? Because we have to put a number on it at some point.
It's a difficult thing to do. I believe in free market negotiations with regard to this. I know that that can be cumbersome. I don't believe in compulsory licenses, especially as regards this particular issue. The compulsory licenses I'm used to, whether it's at Sirius XM or in the use of a song that I've already recorded, which is a compulsory license for someone else to use, benefits me directly. When my stuff is part of a large number of stuff that's scraped, it supersedes my work. It doesn't even just compete with it.
No, they haven't taken over yet. What I'm trying to say is they're here. They've been here. For everybody's like, oh, this is just starting now. No, we've been here. The smart TVs, Bluetooth, all that stuff, the wireless, the cell phones. It's been here. They've been listening and they've been doing all that. But if we do it, you know how that little saying goes, allegedly the government likes to cheat on you, but when you do it, there's a problem, right? You can't do it to them, but they love doing it to you. That's why I'm like, I've been paying attention. Yeah, like I've listened to all my old heads. May they all rest in peace, because the real old heads, they're not here. The real old heads are not here no more at all. Yeah, it's been over 100 years that technology's been here. And people are like, oh, this is something no. No, it's just that we're learning about it now. Like, if y'all watch all these documentaries and stuff like that, if y'all watch these videos, they teach us about this. They've been telling us. It's in the movies. That's why I said after this meeting that they're having here, I'm gonna show y'all an interview that I found with Sophia Stewart, the creator of The Matrix and the Terminator. And she speaks on a lot of this stuff, and she tells us why she made these books and much more. So, like, it all goes hand in hand, and there's a reason I'm doing it like this. So after this, I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna play the senator meeting speaking on the AIs and trying to improve it and much more. We're in 2023. They already tested the first AI judge and lawyer. Allegedly, they already passed. Allegedly, the first AI robot already passed law school. So all I'm saying is, don't go by what a shorty is saying. Just go do y'all research, because what I'm saying right now, y'all can go research it, and it'll tell y'all, it'll show y'all that everything that I'm saying, it will pop up. Yeah, technology has been taken over. Facts, facts, facts. They have AIs taking a lot of the jobs that don't require one to critically think. Exactly. And people sleep on that. They sleep. The Jetsons era is almost here. It's halfway there.
That's a foot race. It supersedes it. And in that context, I believe in free market.
And we will undoubtedly be asking that question of others in another forum. With that, we go to the chairman of the full committee, Mr. Nadler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Irwin, according to reports, OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT.
Facts, Nate. That's why he said if he wanted to, the guy did I think he did something about music lyrics or something like that. He said if he wanted to, his partner is deceased, and if he wanted to use his partner's vocal voices, he could use that type of technology to do it. But the only problem is copyright, permission, and much more. That's the only problem right there.
GPT is valued at $29 billion. And Stability AI, the company behind Stable Diffusion, was valued at around $1 billion late last year. For way of comparison, can you give us an idea of how much the average composer's salary would be?
It's very difficult to say because the way first of all, we're not governed by any kind of collective bargaining. We're not a union or anything like that. So we're very much independent contractors.
Well, Letitia is saying it's facts. I was speaking about that earlier, and they was calling it training. You don't train a robot. You program a robot. You train a dog. You train a human like to go to work or get certified for something. But you don't train a robot. You program them. You input data into their system, into their motherboard, but you do not train them. But hey, to each his own. That's what they want to call it in the government to confuse a lot of people. That's what they're gonna do.
It's easier to talk about ranges for television shows, an hour of television, a feature film. Those sort of budgets are easier to quantify, and then of course it comes into the experience.
Oops, my bad. Let me read the chat from Letitia. My bad. Letitia says, because they will program the judges and lawyers with a set of codes that will hopefully be a set of codes for everyone and not based on bias or prejudice. That's what they're saying. I just saw an article about how some WS programmed an AI to be biased against non-whites. I gotta find the article to send it your way. I was reading and I was looking at a whole bunch of videos about that. Like, that's why I said, listen, imagine being prosecuted by a robot judge, defended by a robot lawyer, and sentenced by a juror of 12 robots. That's crazy. Program training, they are synonymous. Laughing my ass off. Oh, they out there acting red shit. Hold on, let me press play. Let's keep watching the video.
Of whether you're an entry-level person or a very experienced high-level person, all of those change the rates. And then, of course, on the back end, where we get our royalty streams, which is where a lot of us make our money, the performing royalties that are collected by the societies like ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC, they are dependent completely on the number of performances of those works that include your music. And that's the same for audiovisual and for streaming and everything. So it's very hard to say, some years it's almost like a farmer. Some years you have a bumper crop. Next year you mightn't see much at all.
I see. And Mr. Sedlick, what about the average photographer? Same. What about the average photographer? The average salary. Use your mic.
I don't have statistics on that, Representative Nadler. However, many photographers make as little as $20,000 to $40,000 a year, and amounts greater than that outside of certain spaces can be unusual.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Irwin, can you talk a little more about what threats generative AI poses to composers and songwriters? What actions do you think we should take to ensure that your work in artistry is protected? Actually, you've talked about the threats. Can you talk?
Yeah, I can talk. Do you want to talk about the threat or you want to talk about the solution?
I think you've talked about the threats.
Yeah, some of what's in my written testimony. One of the things that the music industry has done particularly well in this area is collective licensing. And they have, as I just mentioned, for ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, they have a way to monitor performances for mechanical royalties, which are the physical royalties, that you have sound exchange, and then there are streaming royalties as well through the Music Licensing Collective. And
we determined already that the technology is good for music, for filming, for medical, for all that stuff. But can y'all really talk about the real consequences behind the artificial intelligence?
And there are reciprocal organizations set up all over the world. So
how would we apply that to open it?
Well, I think music is probably more easily applied to music than it possibly is to some of these other art forms, because every piece of music that's registered has a registration number, a work number, a recording number. Every artist has their own number. I have what's called an IPI number. Dan has one. So they're already in the system. You don't need to reinvent them. You just need to make sure they are attributed to those works as they're being used or logged, or however you want
How
to
do
do
you
it.
determine what works are used in generative AI?
Well, that's I think something that will need to be determined. I mean, I write music. I'm not a technologist.
Maybe Professor Callison Birch. Transparency in AI training models is a concern.
He couldn't answer that question. He's right. He writes music. He don't deal with technology, coding, or none of that.
The transparency to the end user that the media they are viewing was AI created is critical as well. I see that in your testimony, you note that parts of it were composed using ChatGPT. Should some sort of disclosure like that be required?
Got it, Letitia. I'm gonna do a reaction to it. Well, I'm gonna watch it. It depends on how long. I'll watch it halfway and do a reaction to it. So that way I can react with everybody.
And currently, how are individuals alerted to the fact that they're hearing or viewing an AI-created work, if at all?
Thank you for the question. So disclosure of AI-generated works, I think, is valuable. I think, especially with their potential for societal harms through generating.
All right, bet. This article's from 2022. All right, bet. Yep, that's good because that's talking way before this. This article that we're seeing right now is from 5/17/2023. Letitia just sent me one. Hold on one second. Let me press play. My bad. I didn't mean to interrupt. No, wait. I can't press
Deep
play.
fakes or work.
Damn, I'm tripping. I'm sorry. Where'd it go? These robots were trained on AI. They became racist and sexist. Damn. July 16, 2022. Oh, snap. Okay, so we got another one. It looks like it's going to be a part 5 to this because I'm doing a part 4. Let's press play.
That could be used to influence elections by mocking up instances like Trump being arrested in New York. I saw it being generated by Midjourney. Certainly disclosure.
Generating a fake speech by me.
I think that this is an important issue that touches on the output of generative AI systems, and that is where I think that regulation is deserved.
Y'all people, how they keep saying generate? Y'all people, how they keep saying generating voices, which means imitating. Yo, imagine somebody using one of these AI technologies to use your voice to just mess with somebody and fuck with somebody, yo. And this person really would think that it's you messing with them the whole time. It ain't nothing but an artificial intelligence audio imitating your voice. But I wonder how smart people would be. Could they be able to tell if it's an audio or it's an actual person? But you know what's crazy? Some people have fallen for shit like that. They already got the voice changers.
And how are individuals alerted to the fact that they're hearing or viewing an AI-created work, if at all?
I'm sorry, repeat the question, please.
How are individuals alerted to the fact that they are hearing or viewing an AI-created work, if at all?
There's a variety of technological devices that our field is innovating in order to.
I agree with Letitia. Letitia says, I am more concerned with the robot dogs and eventually the robo cops. I watch RoboCop. That's why I said so many movies have spoken and talked about what's going to happen. And you know what's crazy? You know that I think on one of the Terminators by 2023, 2024, something like that. I think the all that was supposed to have started or something like that. I'm not sure what movie. I know it was one of the movies. Damn. But y'all watch all these movies back to back together, and Terminator and Matrix is one saga. It's not two sagas, it's one saga. When y'all hear the interview with Sophia's story, she will explain all that. But it's crazy how this lady predicted all this back in the 80s. She wasn't the only one, but she's the one that talked about it on a book. Young Ria says there will be increasing in crime while using AIs. He agrees with Letitia too. There are videos out there where civilians reporting they were scammed by AI, thinking it was someone they knew. I know, yo, it's going to get crazy out here. People are going to use this technology to benefit them. Young Ria says, what if gangs get their hands on the technology like that? Hey, listen, we just got to use our imaginations. I can't really speak what's on my mind because I will get it straight. But I understand what you're trying to, listen, we don't even want to think if a gang, would do something. But I think they already use stuff like that. I got to, facts. Letitia is right. Listen, in my opinions, they're the biggest gang members out here worldwide. Facts.
Mark AI.
All right, guys. I'm gonna play this for like the next 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna end the live right here, and I'm gonna do part 4. I'm not sure if I'll do it later on tonight. I might do it later on tonight. I'm not gonna schedule it because I don't want to disappoint nobody. But I am. If you're subbed up to me and you got the notifications on, you will get a notification letting you know that a shorty is going live. And I will be putting it on my community wall. I will put it on Facebook, and I will be putting it on Discord. So we will be doing a part 4. I'm about to play another 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I want to go a little longer, but maybe tonight I could go into maybe like a 2-hour live, maybe 3-hour live. So let's see how it goes.
Generated works similar to a watermark on a stock photography site. This is not a established industry-wide practice, but it is something that our field has been discussing. At the moment, it's up to the user of the AI system who's generating it to disclose to people who they're transmitting that image to that it was generated.
Thank you. My time is well expired, and I thank the chairman for his indulgence.
Mr. Chairman, you gave me the similar indulgence when you sat in this chair, so I'm only returning the favor. I thank you. We now go to the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to follow up on that line of questioning about existing technologies that are there to identify digital works, enhance copyright protection. Mr. Sedlick, digital watermarks, tags, metadata, what challenges are you aware of in the use of these types of technologies for works that are used in training AI?
We have mature, very capable technologies to identify visual works, including image recognition and what's called steganography, which is bearing signals in the image to identify it. Creators use embedded metadata to pass information into their images so that as their images are distributed, their images can be identified. A big problem for us is that all of that information is stripped out by the social media platforms and other platforms when images are used. We would very much benefit from a change and improvement to the law to make it illegal to remove embedded rights metadata, even if it's not done for the purpose of infringement. Right now, under Section 1202, it's only illegal if it's done intentionally for the purpose of inducing, enabling, concealing, or facilitating infringement.
Mr. Irwin, what about music?
Sorry?
Do you have any comments on that?
Yes, there is watermarking and fingerprinting used in music technology over and above the identifiers that I talked about. There's technology that currently allows music to be identified even within a program that has dialogue and sound effects over the top of it. You can still identify that music. So, the technology is there for this to be done. It's just a matter of having the will and sitting with the organizations who are doing it and getting this discussion going. I have no doubt that there's a way to track this stuff correctly.
Professor, you commented on that and talked about the trending toward use of this technology by industry. Is that something that's happening too slowly? Is there something that needs involvement from government? What do you think?
So I think at the core, the problem with an idea like a compulsory license and Mr. Isa's suggestion of like, what is the value of 1/1 trillion when you think about the volume of this work? And I can say that definitively that the value of 1/1 trillion is going to be vanishingly small. And so I think another key that is a practical consideration here is unlike compulsory licenses, which are based on performance, so the MMA, where Spotify plays music, Taylor Swift gets more money than some random person in the catalog because her songs are played more. There's no equivalent here for generative AI. It's impossible. To understand how much of a system's output is due to Stephen King versus a random Reddit poster who's written a paragraph in the collection. So I think the lack of that performance is
I was
key
muted the whole
to
time.
one of the tricky things about establishing a compulsory license.
I was muted the whole time. Ain't that some shit? that that is crazy, yo. Like I was saying, hold on one second. My bad. What's up? Like I was saying, blessings. I was saying blessings, perpetual pleasantly. How you've been? And I was speaking about what he was saying about the laws. I was telling people to learn about their laws because social media be the biggest ones that break these laws and then pretend like they doing something right or they're not in the wrong. Like for example, I want to take a minute and thank. Hold on one second, girls. I want to take a minute and thank the meal ticket because last year he saved me from all that copyright stuff. It's crazy, right? I uploaded all my poems and everything to YouTube and stuff, and they kept trying to strike me. So the meal ticket helped me out, and now I got all my poems copyrighted and trademarked. So now it's a little easier, even though it took a minute, but I was able to work it out. I had to figure out how to put the license because you see how the guy was talking about how every musician, every artist has an ID number. Well, each one of my poems has it's like a little number. It's like a little license number that I have to put into each one when I upload it onto YouTube. So I kind of figured out how to do a couple things. So I want to thank him for that. So a lot of the stuff that this man is saying, he's not lying on because I kind of like listening to the people that know about the coding, know about the music, know about beats, know about all this stuff. I've learned a lot. So I urge a lot of people out here that don't know their laws, don't know their bills, don't know their constitution, don't know that they got rights, don't know none of that. Even though if it's boring, take a minute, like read it, learn it, because you're going to have to listen, especially now that we're going into what they call the realm of the AIs. You heard me right. They call it the realm of the AIs, allegedly. So, welcome to their realm. Welcome to the Matrix, as I call it. So, for those of y'all that have not met Morpheus and are still in bed, either you wake the fuck up or stay the fuck sleep in bed. Because it's time for you to wake that third eye. It is really time for you to wake up. It's been here. Like, it hasn't fully taken over, like Letitia says, but it's been here. We've been asleep. And for those of y'all, I don't know, because it's crazy. Like, all these old heads warned us about this. May they all rest in peace. They're gone now. Like, there's really no real old heads left no more in this world. But they warned us all about this. We've seen these movies from iRobot to the Terminator to the Matrix to the Militia Man to RoboCop and much more. The messages were right there. It's just that a lot of people didn't really care. I think that's what it is. Let's give this 5 more minutes. I'm ending this live, and I gotta continue on with my. I'm tired of shit. I only got like 2 hours of sleep. This shit is crazy.
Mr. Irwin, some have suggested that imposing IP-related obligations on AI developers would hobble development because of the inability to feasibly use copyrighted content for training purposes. Would you be willing to license your works?
People, they use Section 102, Section 106. They haven't even mentioned Section 107 yet of the copyrights. But they mentioned all the other sections. I urge all of y'all to learn your rights, learn the Constitution, learn your bills, and much more.
For training purposes, and do you think other creators would also be willing?
If I was being compensated for them, absolutely. Yeah. I don't have a problem with the technology at all. I have a problem with the stealing of the material.
You're welcome, Platy.
Mr. Navarro, you indicated your willingness.
You miss you. It's been a
use
while.
AI.
A similar answer. The ability to approve or disapprove of a particular use is why I oppose
You just make my day.
compulsory
You're real
licenses.
funny.
I don't oppose blanket licenses, which might streamline a process. But I still have the ability to say yes or no and opt out.
Now, in your testimony, you advocated against granting AI any special IP exemptions. Depending on how some lawsuits turn out, courts may decide that AI doesn't need special exemptions, and training AI with copyrighted music is not infringement under current law. In that event, would you advocate for changing the law to make training AI with copyrighted works a type of infringement?
I'm not sure that I am qualified to answer that. It's a very technical question. I do believe that as
You should be able to answer that, but okay, let's leave it as a very technical question.
we're looking at guardrails. Guardrails used to be made of wood. Then they started becoming made of steel. Now, as cars get faster and more powerful, maybe they need to be made of titanium. As these technologies progress and as its scope increases, our guardrails need to be modified and improved.
Thank you. Yield back.
Why don't y'all just tell us the truth and say that y'all have had all this technology for the longest, and little by little, y'all just showing it and trying to get it approved by the world? I mean, the majority of us is woke. We're not dumb. We're very woke. That third eye. Like, a lot of us smell the coffee when we wake up in the morning, for those that do drink. Listen, I like tea and hot cocoa, but y'all get my point, right? So, guys, I'm going to pause it right there. I'm going to get my hair done for the next live the right way, because it's all curly and frizzy right now, and it's getting on my nerves, and this cap is going sideways. But, oh, no, young Riaz. AIs have been around since the early 1900s. It's out there. The research is out there. They've been out for a while. They've been out longer than what. Listen. Let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all think that without technology, ancient Egypt was able to make the hybrid people back in the days? You know, the half man, half horse. Because it's real. If y'all go do your research and look it up, that's not a myth. That's not a lie. That's not some theory. None of that. They was messing around with a lot of stuff. So they ought to be like, oh, this is new. No, we read about it. We just didn't know about it. That's why I say a lot of us is just waking up. That's crazy. Perpetual your welcome. No, man, my hair is messed up. All I care about is my hair, and this cap keep going sideways. Like, I won't even take a picture if my hair's not done right. I don't care. Listen, I could have 1,000 holes in my shirt. I could have mud all over my shirt. I don't care about my shirt. I care about my hair. I be telling people, listen, if I wanted to, I could be going outside. Very disrespectful. Real shit, but I'm respectful. I go outside respectful. I go outside like a lady. Tomboyish lady, but tomboyish lady. I like dressing comfortable, so I ain't out there to please nobody. As long as I go out there respectful. That's it. But I can go outside very disrespectful. Oh, I know she will. She talks about she want to get buried ass so naked with her ass in the air. Like, yeah, I like my caps. I like them. I feel like my hair's out the way. I don't have to tie my hair up when I have it the other way. Just put my hair right through there. So, like, I don't like tying my hair up, but I had to tie it up just now because it's so frizzy and curly. Like, I can't wash it. I have to brush it. So, which means I'm going to have a little afro, a wavy afro. Crazy as shit. I like my caps. I love my blue bandana. See, I know you be wearing your little blue bandana. I peeped that. I think your hair looks good. Thank you, Perpetual, but I still got to get that joint done. Guys, I will be coming up. I will be doing a live tonight, later on tonight, maybe in the middle of the night, probably early morning. I don't know. But I think tonight I might be able to do like a 2-hour, 3-hour live. I will finish this right here. The rest of this government meeting talking about the artificial intelligence. I will start the interview with Sophia Stewart, and then that might end up into a part 5. So, like I said, make sure y'all share, help a shorty out. Let's help a shorty get into the algorithm so that she could bring more awareness. And pretty soon, we're gonna start doing the Writers for Life brings you the let's talk about it podcast reaction to the sex crimes. And not just the sex crimes, we will be talking about Happy Trigger Cops. We will be reacting to Happy Trigger Cops and horrific crime scene murders. So it's going to be a couple of different types of reactions that I'm going to be doing. But right now, we will be talking about artificial intelligence, and this is going to be a couple parts. So we're at part 3 already. I hope to see y'all at part 4. Hopefully, I get more people to interact. These are open panels. Whether you interact with a shorty here in the chat or you interact with a shorty here on the panel, doesn't matter. You're not here to be judged. You're just here, so your voice could be heard. So, your perspective. That right there is what matters, but it's not to be judged. It's so that we could bring solutions to the table, and maybe something that you say, could probably help the next person bring solutions to their table. We never know, but we're here to build. We're here to solve problems. We're here to resolve the problems, resolve the issues. We're not here to beef. We're not here to bring anybody down or make anybody feel bad. We're here to teach each other and to bring awareness. Like I said, listen, don't be scared to ever speak your story. Everyone has a story, and we all fight our demons in the same hell in different ways. So that's what a shorty is here for. I'm here to bring awareness, to bring y'all the news, and for us to talk about it. And if we could bring solutions to the table, let's bring them. Like I told y'all, I'm a block captain. I do a lot of community work, and I'm also trying to bring cameras into these schools. What y'all say here could probably help a shorty out in the future. I could probably, what y'all say here, I could probably bring it to one of the meetings that I go to here in Philadelphia, and speak on it and be like, yo, listen, like, can we do this like this? Bring it up. It's a good idea. Why not talk about it? At the end of the day, it's a podcast. Let's talk about it. So until next time, I hope all of y'all have a blessed and humble day. I hope all of y'all continue to have a blessed and humble day. I want to thank everyone that has showed up, has rocked out with a shorty, because y'all didn't have to be here today, but y'all here. Y'all showing me love, y'all showing me support, and trust me, like, as this podcast grows and I grow, y'all will grow with me. And thank all of y'all that is here joining a shorty in her mission. Like, I want y'all to watch me grow, and I want y'all to see how we prosper together. And I want y'all to see how these kids prosper. And what I'm hoping and I'm wishing that what I'm trying to do, which is to bring everybody together and help the youth, ends up, how can I say it? In the best interest for the youth. Because a lot of times when we try to do stuff like this, a lot of people, listen, I've had so many obstacles, I've had so many things try to stop me from helping the youth, that all I can say is that I'm still trying to climb that ladder up there and trying to help them go up there with us. So right now it's the kids that matter. And if the kids really matter, we really need to put in that work. And that's what a shorty is really trying to do. So like I said, hop on a panel, speak up, and maybe you could help me help our community. And not just our community, because there could be other peoples that are, how can I say it, that do a lot of community work and could probably watch this video and end up using your idea or what you said to end up bettering their community. It's all about each one teaching one. So, like I said, till next time, hope all of y'all have a blessed and humble day.